knows what. Oh, I gotta say it again. Welcome to Dojo, Monday night, the eve before New Year's Eve, the last Monday, Moon Day, Dojo of the year. So I'm excited to host. And yeah, it's quiet around here, and I don't really have anything that other than well, I have stuff to talk about. If James doesn't want to have stuff to talk about, I got stuff to talk about. But yeah, I'm waiting to see. I really liked his kind of post today. It was giving me some food for my fodder of like nothing's broken and how do we curse the earth with our programs that we all these spells that we put on it. So I thought that was pretty interesting because I had a spell cast on me from a yeah, I had a spell cast on me. And I tell you what, I think maybe 6 months ago I would have got like freak out, but I did not freak out. So yeah, it was actually a spiritual threat that said if I was it was pretty high level, I would say dark magic. And and I thought I never felt more like in the light. So it was just like, yeah, I slept well last night. Nothing really. I was like, nothing can touch you if you acknowledge your stuff. And all I ever did with this person is kind of speak the truth to the person that's kind of bound by the when you put a person as a medicine person, or I wouldn't even say this is a dark medicine thing, but if you give that person all your power and then somebody threatens it and just like, I don't want any money for what I do, I just do it because it's the light. If there's an exchange, there'll be an exchange, but I don't need to have like that kind of power where a shaman has all these people that follow them and they have the trademark and all these people are working to pay them. It's different than Patreon, I have to say. It's a little bit dark magic because they don't really want you to graduate. They want you to kind of stay as a subservient. So I kind of got kind of stuck in that a little bit, and I'm grateful that I'm not taking anything personal. So that's what I have for tonight for this beautiful reflection. Hey, James, good to see you. I almost didn't recognize you. I don't know. Did you cut your hair or something different? Maybe you
Well,
don't have a hat
we
on or
have
something.
some dramatic lighting here to give
Oh,
me the aura of dark magic myself. So, yeah, I just got off the off the road from Atlanta. The traffic was, I mean, it was fine, but it just took me a little bit longer, so I was a little bit tardy today. And I hope the audio is okay. I didn't have time to hook up my computer, so I just was able to open the laptop up
you sound good.
and yeah, I feel good. I'm in a deep state, meaning it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like I'm kind of verklempt on like a 24/7 basis where everything kind of moves you in a deep emotional way. And it's just like, oh, the traffic light turned green. I'm just like, oh my God, what is this sound of feeling? It's a lot of that. I just got back from hanging out with my dad. It was really great. I actually really wanted to stay. I wish I could have stayed. There was some technical reasons that I was like, I should probably just get back today. So I did. But yeah, I feel really good. I just as I predicted, um, I I'm gonna feel like a very different person after Christmas, and that's happening. All these things are rushing through me. I published that little test podcast, but even larger, I've written a pretty substantial outline for this book, Gospel of Lust, and I'm just it was like so excited, like just so excited about it. I was really having a good time working at my dad's, honestly, because the guy like feeding me and we're going for walks and he's like a tame sort of, hey dude, you need to get up and move around and stuff. So that's really cool. And he's, needs physical help, so you feel like important and stuff. It's just like the greatest of the really good feeling. It's like I know I've said this before, but it was just such a relaxed vibe. It just feels really, really good. So yeah, I feel good. I might look haggard or whatever, but I feel good. I'm sort of emotionally tired, if this, just sort of like, huh, but not in like a depleted way, more of just in a spent voluntarily spent way, maybe would be where like I just, spit it all and yeah, so it's a lot of that. I would expect I'll be um yeah, just feeling even more calories going forward. But yeah, it's been a very low calorie time, and I've just really just tried to. It's just such an emotional thing. It's yeah. So so that's what I'm doing. I'm denying the fact that no one gets to call me bipolar, despite the fact that I'm having really deep emotional feelings about things that maybe aren't quite worthy of such an emotion. So that's
Hmm.
what I got for now.
Well, Brad's hands up, so welcome there, James. It's not. I think you look good. It's just that you're wearing a different color, and your lighting is different. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I think you look good. Your energy looks really good. Like very I don't know, intact.
Bringing it, man.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, what's up?
Hey guys, yeah. Hey, I've been kind of there too. Recently for me, it's been when you say emotionally, sort of just kind of a lot. So like a few weeks ago, my dad ended up in the hospital, and real quick, I know most of y'all kind of know this about me, but it's like I always want to help, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like so I do like that. And when you James, you talk about like wanting to be of help to your dad, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's so natural within me. But over the past sort of year or so, I really had to get to a point because when you do that, there's a line where it can become expectation, right? And I had this dynamic with my family where while their health and things are good, right, that I kind of had to reach a point where I had to tell them not to call me to take care of the house because we had several arguments because I was trying to help, but it was very much so like it anyway, just that dynamic. So I gone through that and we got to a place where I was visiting with them and I enjoyed that. You know what I'm saying? Like we had very, very positive because I kind of guess just had that boundary where I was like, I can't kind of do this. And I think you'll understand why as I get through this. So then we get to my dad's in the hospital and initially my mom asked me, can I watch the house, take care of the dogs and the cats? And my first response is no, kind of cause that's where we had to kind of leave it because of tension. So as the night goes, he has to go in for an emergency surgery, and so things get a little heavier. And so in that moment, I told her, yeah, I'll take care of the house and the dogs, right? So then I do start doing that, and I'm taking care of the house and the dogs, and I kind of have to sit back and try and see the comedy of it too, because of the dynamic. So I hadn't slept at that house for probably about a year or so, like that. So when I get there, they've got the ring cameras, right? Like on the doorbell stuff like that. Well, they have them inside the house too, right? And so this is kind of new territory for me, right? So I'm in there and I'm like taking care of the house and watching this, and so at one point I get a phone call from my mom, and she's kind of like picking at me for not watching the dogs well enough, right? And so it's just this weird dynamic where I'm like, not a like 1984 Big Brother watching, but no, it's Mother Dearest, nitpicking the way you're doing it, and it's supposed to be in the context, from where I'm standing, I'm like, I'm taking care of this so you don't have to worry about it. But then when it actually plays out, it's like, oh well, you get what I'm saying. It was kind of strange. So I'm in this situation where it's like I do want to help, but I'm not very comfortable in that house just because you get what I'm saying. It's just like I'm just not comfortable there. It's just not my space. But I'm trying to help. So at a certain point, I'm coming home from the hospital one night, and the water authority is at the top of their street, and the fire hydrant's up, and I find out the water's off. So I go and ask the guy in the truck up there. I said, the water's off. Any idea when it's going to be back on? And he said, well, my supervisor has gone to get a new hydrant to replace. And I was like, did y'all, y'all knew y'all were replacing the hydrant? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. Long story short, didn't have water on that night. It was on the next day though. So that next day, I'm coming home from the hospital again, and the water's on, but there's no hot water, no heat. So then into the next day, I come home from work, and I'm just trying to see if I can't fix it right, figure out what the problem is, and get it all going. I can't. It's going to have to call the gas company or something like that. So when I talked to my mother that night, and understandably, everything she's going through, she's worried about my dad. He's still not, he's stable-ish, but we're still not all the way there, right? You know what I'm saying? He is now, by the way. We're there now. But so when I tell her that it's not working, the heat's not working, and then the water's not working, right? The heat's not working. Her response is kind of like, "So there's nothing you can do to fix it, and I'm just gonna have to come home and take cold showers now." And I was like, and I just sort of mentioned, I said, "Well, I haven't had a shower in 3 nights." And her response is, "Well, you're just an asshole," and hangs up on me, right? And again, I understand the dynamic. This is just our relationship and kind of how it's been. And in a calmer moment, in a reflexive, she maybe can understand, but that just demonstrates that in that moment, that's what she expects of me. Like I'm just supposed to handle it, and I'm trying. But anyway, long story short, the next day I tell her I'll check on the dogs, but I'm not sleeping at the house. And in that conversation, she had also said, "What do I have to call the gas company now, or can I wait till over the weekend anyway?" I said, "Don't worry about it." So I had to tell her I wasn't going to stay at the house. So when I showed up at the hospital that next time, she said, "Well, I got the gas company coming. Is the reason you're not going to stay? I'll get the gas turned on." And I just had to, at that point, reestablish that boundary and say, "Your house is not my responsibility." And I said, "I can't. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be with Dad and all this, but your house is not my responsibility." And of course, asshole, right? But had to get there. And so there was that moment with that, and like we've kind of back to that place now where it's like now we're things are easing up for me again. Like I'm visiting, and we could have, but it's been a lot, and it's just weird because in that dynamic, it's like because the other family's there too, right? Uncle, my cousins, and all this, and it's just that's dynamic where even though I'm trying to help, you know what I'm saying? The fact that I'm not helping right or doing it, in this way, it's like I still feel like I'm being cast as a villain, and it's like, my goodness gracious, it's just frustrating because like I feel like I worked so hard to kind of rectify this and get to a positive place. And I do feel like, by the way, I'm getting there again, but it's been a lot, and it's been but I do feel like I said the most recently in this past week, it's been some good visits again and stuff like this. I do wonder going forward as he moves forward through his recovery how much because I am going to want to help, you know what I'm saying. But I very much recognize I have to watch this dynamic because my uncle got on me too about that because again the family kind of has this expectation because hey I lived up to that for a long time for you know what I'm saying. If I could help I would, so I understand the dynamic, but it has been a lot.
Wow,
That's
Brad,
what's
that's
got on me.
that that sounds like you've done really, really well. I would have kind of covered up the nanny cam. I would have put towels on it or something and or walked around naked. I would have done one or the other. I
Well,
was
see,
just
I
like,
would walk around naked because I have no shame like that. But another little point in that, I was going to plug in my computer at one point, and I unplugged a little thing socket plugged into the wall, and I didn't know that was the camera system, but apparently it was. And when I did that, I also got a phone call about that of, did you unplug the cameras? And that led into a whole conversation. Well, you can if you want to, and I'm like, I don't even care. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it was. But
yeah,
yeah, it is.
it's interesting to be able to be the observer in a situation and to cycle around into it to like get to a higher level to say this is where I normally react and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. And then get into that place where you took care of yourself and then said, set a boundary. So that's really good work.
Well,
It's
thanks.
really,
I do
re-
appreciate that.
really good work in the midst of stress and all that. And then
Yeah,
just
because I love my freaking dad to death, and this is it's yeah, even despite any sort of disagreements, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to it's not fun to see him like that, but he is doing better. He is doing better.
I've been wondering if I'm maybe being too clingy with my dad, Brad, because he's my stepdad, and meaning, he married my mom, and now she's gone, and is his role done? And my dad's not the kind of person that would tell me if he felt I was being clingy. He wouldn't say that. You'd have to read that or he'd just endure. And it really is weird because when he's constantly saying things like, no, 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 don't, part of me is like, well, I just have to really want to help. But part of me is also like, I don't know if he may not want that. He may not want, I hear him subconsciously saying he's going to move closer to his biological daughter. And honestly, he doesn't know her. Like he really doesn't know her that well. And in fact, there's a few things, quirks about her that he mentions in a loving way, but are clearly not necessarily in line with just his philosophy, stuff like that. A little bit of
Okay.
politics, just minor stuff, but still. And hearing that he wants to be near those genes uh, makes me feel an emptiness, a hollow feeling that I've had before, very, very distinct feeling where you feel a hollow cavity in your chest and I would call it abandonment just to give you a word about it, but it's like some kind of feeling that I have knowing that I'm picking up on this idea that all of that loyalty, all that fealty that I've not, I cannot think of one person I've been more loyal to than my stepdad. I just feel so thankful for his presence. Just literally, I just needed a body, and he was just such a great body. And just by him being in the room, it's like really that's all I needed him to do. And he did that faithfully. And I just catch myself wondering how much of this is me helping him and him helping me, vice versa, stuff like that. Meanwhile, I'm watching him drive on the wrong side of the road in the middle of the day. I'm watching him. He made chili last night, and poor guy just did not know that the cheddar cheese was all moldy, like just green mold, and then put that on top of the chili. And I was like, "Whoa, Dad, let's let's rethink dinner." And the day before it was frozen potatoes, and but also I know that he's been entrained to just wait for someone just to tear the fuck into him when he makes a mistake like that. And he just would have eaten that, not because I just out of habit of just like if I eat this quick, no one will know that this is where it's at. So it's a really interesting place to be because uh, I would imagine in March, my dad's probably going to not want to not even be in Atlanta anymore. So he's really on the way out now when it comes to saying goodbye to that family kind of quasi family home and stuff like that. But he'll be moving to an apartment, I'm sure, that won't have a guest room. And it really could mean uh, the end of us. And I think that's the vacuous feeling I
Okay.
have because I've had to wait this long for this energy to go away. So I can just like a Christmas was frozen scalloped potatoes and moldy cheddar cheese. And it was one of the most relaxing Christmases I've ever had. Just like it was great. Like seriously, we didn't exchange gifts. Just a really good time. We had a good walk. The cat fucking bit me because we were fucking with the cat. It was just a good time. It was none of that other sympathetic versus parasympathetic stuff. I was just in pure digestive, relaxing mode the whole time. And in the 54 years I've had one of those with him. One. And it really could be the last one. So it's like there's a I appreciate him. So the feeling I have might sound bad or feel bad, but it's just gratitude. It's just like fuck. I always knew it would feel this way. And it does. So big
Well,
time.
James, I lost my dad. Like he just had a pulmonary embolism and just died. And I was in my 30s. And that left me with my mother who had no regulation. And so she plugged into me to regulate. She was like anxious, like super anxious. And I think about that. What if he was the one that was around? And what would that have been like for me? You know? Because it's just like everyone gets a different experience, but like to get to honor this experience as you're honoring it, like having a witness to it to say this could be the last time, and then I'm going to feel all these feelings. I'm going to embrace the moldy cheese and the frozen potatoes, and when you lose a parent like that, and you're not even like ready to like. I was only in my early 30s when my dad just like died. I actually am the age my dad died and my mother died. I mean, not my mother, my grandmother died at this age that I am now. So it's kind of like a pivotal year of like, well, what did it feel like to sit in this age and have like you just go? So like to honor that you get to do this with your parents, it's like it's super important. I mean, even if you have a parent that's holding on and it's having a long illness, at least you get to have this experience with them to like do your work with it. And so I just want to honor you, James, for showing up and the last time you spoke about going to that house, it was like, you didn't have that central nervous system kind of, so I think it's like super healing to feel all those feelings. So I'm just like really wanting to honor you for that. And I really like I feel into it. Like the holidays are difficult, and then to enjoy them even in the difficulties. I don't know. I don't know how can it get any better than that. Hey, Renee, your hand's up. Good to see you.
Hey everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I just wanted to say I was just thinking the same thing, Lori, about I was talking to my dad, and I'm gonna be 57, so I'm gonna be officially in my late 50s here pretty soon. So I like to go by the early, mid, and late category. And he's like, I think we were talking about when he had his heart attack, he was 50. And it's so cool to be your parents' age when something pivotal happens in their life, and then you're that same age. You go, okay, now I'm this age. How would I have felt if I were them?
Yeah.
That's where that really cool like research is. So that's been kind of spinning in me too, just ancestrally. And the holidays always bring up a bunch of stuff and ornaments or memories and stuff. So it's really potent. It's such a great seeding for Capricorn, for Janus, for looking to in front of us and behind with the winter solstice. So that's where the Capricornus does so well. All that corn capping. But yeah, I was thinking about the age things and just how, when I hit my mom's age 69 when she passed, when she returned, that'll be like, whoa, if I get there. You know what I mean? But it's just I think that's really powerful to know when your ancestors die, and beyond that year and kind of see where you are. I don't know, it's kind of cool. Thanks a lot. That's it.
Well, I think about Brad's story about his dad and like, how we have these similarities, and sometimes those mirrors are like rough genetically. And sometimes then you have chosen family, like you pick somebody that's like a soul person. And that's like, feels like James is, picked the best person to have, and that he gets to enjoy this now. So I want to honor that. But I just feel like, all of that is like this big, like circle of like, well, and feeling into these feelings that I'm feeling like, I didn't get to, I have to really watch what I say and how I say it. I got a picture of all of the grandchildren for Christmas, and I thought it was the best Christmas present. It was Merry Christmas and a photo, and the only thing that was missing was, it was Bianca and her husband. And so I thought, well, I just want to give gratitude for that kind of love, that somebody can then choose to take care of themselves in the way that they want to for Christmas. And there was no guilt on my part feeling like I wasn't loved, or for them to feel like they had to include me, and to be able to, enjoy people the way that it serves you, and just like, I don't know, it serves her to do what she did. And I didn't feel like it was it didn't have, I didn't take it personal, it was just like, that's the way that she was taking care of herself. So like, how can everyone do that? Like, and not over caretake, like, as I'm getting older, I don't want her in my business. If I need help, I'm going to ask for help, and I think about all those places that I did that to my mom, like where I stepped in, where, so, symbiosis and feeling and caring and all that, but like letting somebody, like my good friend was watching over her neighbor, and she's the power of attorney. So she's like, you can't drive until the doctor gives you like, signs off on you driving. And she almost didn't want her to drive, but then she was going to be like a prisoner to taking care of her, you know? And so then it was like, no, I see that she's making this progress. And she never got deterred. She's in her 80s and she wants to drive. They live very rural. And that woman, she just didn't, she put everything back, all the tripping hazards. She did everything she wanted to do. And then, so she took her out on a test drive. She's driving. She said, okay, you just didn't speed up at this corner and, you need to keep the speed limit or whatever. And they signed off. She's driving now. So, like, that's what I think everybody wants as we get into this place. Don't we want to be kind of interdependent? And
Well,
sometimes people come and over caretake, and then you lose, um, I don't know, you lose your own
well,
autonomy or something. I don't
I'll
know.
say this in the situation with my dad right now. One of the things they're saying for like his recovery is one of the key things is try to make him do as much as he can for himself, right? Like the don't try to do it for him. And I think that's kind of interesting when you take it on up in terms of the James recently he was talking about mentioning again the Soul Trap Prison Planet, and I feel like that always fulcrums on that same thing of it's helplessness or not. It's this idea that that there is a sadistic level where if you do something for someone and it becomes parasitic in that sense. So there is that balance where it's like that understanding that it's like and I always try to see it like this through the parenting is like in terms of I know there's dangers in the world, but I don't want to stop them from learning how to fall down and get up by themselves. Every time they fall down, I don't want to have to pick them up is what I'm saying. And just in that sort of that context of the fact that you most growth, when we know this anyway, right, it has to be done internally, and so the person has to learn to do it for themselves. And so the best thing you do is kind of just hold space for that. And I think that's kind of like you're saying too, Lori, about letting each other, like, even though we love somebody, but maybe we just need to be in our own space, right? Being able to hold that space for ourselves and them, and being like, just because we don't need to be maybe in the same dynamic doesn't mean there's not love there. Do you know what I'm saying? There's not that sort of way, and it's just like, and I think a lot of that, and that's what I think I'm learning from my aspect of looking at trying to that line, which with my dad, wanting to help him stand right up out of that bed, knowing no, 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 just don't let him fall. Do you know what I'm saying? And understanding that how much of my responsibility to caretake the people that I care about, right? This is exactly what we're saying. There is a fine line between that. It's like it's just very powerful stuff. You do need to know when to sort of hold back. And I think from my mother's side, they were very overbearing in terms of over worrying. So that's kind of ways I've had that energy.
Yeah, I think about that biology or placebo of belief. Like, and then you go in and tell somebody, you're not going to be able to do this again. You should just go into the nursing home. And that 83-year-old, she got that, like everybody was telling her that. And she just didn't even believe it. And so she's still living independently, living this, I'm like, so it's really tricky as when you love somebody not to give them, that overcare. Can I remember like thinking that if I had stayed with the husband I had, I kind of think I'd be disabled because he over caretaked me,
Mm-hmm.
like, over ta. So anyhow, so
Some people, and that's the thing, some people want that energy. They want to have something to take care of, but it does become parasitic.
yeah,
And the thing also that I think is interesting about you talking about your friend and her independence and wanting it, sometimes also see the dynamic where people are doing it. I don't want to judge it for them, but for what's easiest for them. So a lot of times when elderly parents end up in nursing homes and things like this, it's like it's all those dynamics at play, and a lot of times it's yeah, it's like and I don't want to judge them, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times pushing her not to drive may have been a subtle sense of in my back of my
Hmm.
mind, this is the easiest way to get from point A to
Yeah.
point B. I guess I don't know, maybe.
I think a lot of this is energetic cannibalism, honestly.
yeah,
And we're just not really honest with whether we're being eaten because we want to feel self-worth or we're eating because we want to taste someone else's self-worth feeding
yeah.
themselves to us, you know? Yeah.
Thanks, James. Hey, Clinton. It's good to see you. Your hands up.
Hi guys, happy time of year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the what James said, that's beautifully stated because it's parasitic in both ways, and I think that would be what would be considered the soul trap. Because if we were doing that work, like I moved in, I built a little studio behind my dad's house maybe 4 years ago. He's 81 now. He'll be 82 in January. We're like Aquarian brothers. He's 2 days before me. He basically is my brother. This is my real dad. Um, and so he's 81. His girlfriend will be 36 sometime. I'm like, I have a teenager basically. For a person who has like zero footprint, this man has me, stressing. But for the first 2.5 years, I let him keep mowing the yard because he's like, use it or lose it. And so he functions at an amazing capacity. He drives all over the place. He's sound. He has a poor concept of linear time, but I don't bother him with that. Like I allow him to be. Maybe he doesn't eat as well as I would like him to, but I think if you get past a certain age, um, like he's surpassed both of his parents, and he's kind of at that place where he just wonders, how long he can go. Um, but it's strange that we do tend to want to take care of things, and then we don't allow people the choice or the freedom to be who they are. And and in the and in the family essence, like we really get overbearing because of the expectations, and that's why people I think run away to homes or put stuff out of the sight because that beautiful um, like intimacy that you're worrying about losing with this human, uh, a man of that age probably has no ability to communicate with you, James, that he's probably worried about that too. But he's like, this woman is gone. What do I need to do for this grown man? But you need each other, as much as the dojo, we all come here to talk to each other, and there are just aspects we have to give that space. Like the hardest relationship that I've had end was with a person I considered a best friend that I knew since I was 16. We met in high school. Just the bond had always been there. We never had the physical intimacy as children, and we re-met late in life after both of us being married and divorced, and having great consideration for the nuances of your own identity. And I just thought that there was like a back and forth respect from that. This person just disappeared when they were done, getting whatever they needed from me, and then uh, talked to me once in 2 years, and through like crazy. It's just the weirdest message I got, and I just don't know how people don't understand how to tend to themselves in a good enough way to give everyone that space. And I'm kind of rambling, but uh, it's just I don't understand the average human that isn't aware of these feelings that we talk about, you know, and that how we cause a ripple and it affects other people. And maybe we can't help but affect other people, but we could try to do it positively. Is all I can say. That's all I got.
Absolutely. Can I add real quick because it made me think of what you just said, Clinton. I was saying that the best way I can take care of you is by taking care of me. But that basic aspect, it's like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about
Yeah.
that parasitic relationship and then you get kind of fooled because this is an old time relationship, but then you're like, oh, I woke up, it was a little parasitic. They don't need me anymore. So now it's like, and it's kind of always shocking when those kind of things like are a wake up call. I was talking about that on the radio, about Velcro relationships, or when people like energetically kind of Velcro into you. And then you're like, you didn't even know that they kept you in that past thing. And then that you're working through this bonding with, going through a traumatic separations or divorces or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, they're either going to clam onto you like in that old pattern, or they're just going to like disappear. And you're like, I'm not that I used to be, and I don't want to stay where I was. And so it's like, how do you go into these new symbiotic relationships? It's like a quandary. I'm always kind of trying to not attach into old stories with anyone and just like kind of be a little bit lighter, like, working that
I
hoop.
think the autist in me is like wants to understand. I want the compassionate. I really want to know who you are. Like when James, you're saying like if you're racist and just a bigoted asshole, be that way, and then I can lend you that much space. But I feel like a lot of people want a blanket, and then that blanket becomes a crutch, and then they're like, "I don't need you," and like, but it starts off like that weird Velcro, and you don't know when they're going to tear you off and try to put like a new patch on, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm a service animal. Maybe I just need that jacket. That just don't touch me because I'm super sensitive. I feel everyone so hard. I just want to help, and then I realize, yes, if I don't help me, I can't spill over and help you, and it eventually puts like crank in my neck or
Yeah,
something.
and this is truly probably the underlying utility of being in a parasitic relationship. You agree to, hey, will you cling to me like a fucking parasite and just eat me to the core until I finally insist that I'm worth more than this? Because it would really help me a lot. And that other person's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. This is great. This is fantastic. And I look at my relationship with my aunt, just catastrophically, just I couldn't believe what was happening. Like I couldn't believe this was my best friend growing up. Like when I was 5 years old, just if anyone got me, it was her. And to watch that happening here, we're still in a symbiotic relationship. The parasitic is the symbiotic relationship, but we're living in a context where the word parasite is too shameful for us to own. So we're never going to admit that my aunt wanted slavery. My aunt was like, I think we should return to slavery. And if I treat you like shit and pull you down, we will both be there together. But as long as you are higher than me, this shit ain't gonna work. We need to both be suppressed. We need to both be hating fucking life. So I'm gonna get my dog somehow. I'm gonna telepathically tell my dog with old arthritis, I need you to climb 2 sets of stairs. One of them a spiral, and I want you to shit on his prayer rug because this is exactly how you're going to lower. And I'm not going to clean it up for a day because why the fuck would I do that? Because I know this would be one of the most disrespectful ways that I could really get us where we want to go. And the whole time while I'm sleeping, I'm just like, I just hope that dog comes up here and shits on my prayer rug because it's about me the only thing that I wouldn't be able to handle that I'd be like, okay, look, I don't know how to ignore this. I don't fucking know how to ignore what just happened here. The dog is literally flipping me off. Look at the dog. And the dog's just like, fuck you. It's like, what? Dogs love me. Why does this dog, so you force yourself into a situation where you literally have no fucking choice but to jump out of the nest, and
Yeah.
just to go for that next thing.
I can see that dog just taking a shit, looking right back at, it's like, I'm down, I'm done. It's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cutting the leash,
Yeah.
This is really
beautiful.
good. It's really good stuff when you get to this level of the spiral and you can kind of see how you kind of contracted for that parasitic relationship. And it's like, I have another one to share if we have time, but I'm going to call in Nancy. Go ahead.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Good to see
Happy
everyone.
New Year.
I'm really happy New Year too. I'm really glad you brought that up, James, about I have left every fort. I was 18 when I left, the first fort. Yeah, I've left two whole other forts. Anyway, so my Christmas had quite the smorgasbord. I'm having a new grandbaby in July. Actually, my boy's dad's not doing real good. He's in the hospital, but he's kind of where he's at. We don't know if he's gonna. If he leaves, he's gonna feel so much better. That's all I'm gonna say. He's gonna feel so much better. Um. Oh, and a scapegoat was resurrected from Larry's side towards my kids, his kids. So, since I'm okay with leaving forts, how I find out things, I'm always like, thank you. He blurted something out. I won't get into it right now, but it was something that I had to face. Wow, this is how I really thinks. I can't grow old like with this, just like that. And what I just went through, I got a lot of calories healing up all that stuff, and I had enough calories to like handle what this scapegoat thing that came back up, and it was an accident. He didn't mean to say. So I'm like, well, anyway, it was meant to be said. So, I just had some things to like, say like, well, one of the four of you really should tell both of my boys what this problem is, and what would you do if you were in my shoes? I'm pretty good about taking time and presenting questions, and it took a day. Here, I'm getting into it anyway. He came back with some, cool stuff, but there were some holes in it, and not everything was addressed. So I'm back to my thought processes, and just I'm just it's the emotional immaturity I have a hard time with, especially if it's the same thing that happened 15 years ago. It's just absurd, and it's like, hello, you know. So, but I'm really I feel I'm in a good place, and I just feel like, wow, this is gonna happen. To have this other thing happen first was really cool, because that was I definitely needed that relationship for so many things to heal. And then, you know, I'm just in this I'm in this surrender place. It's like, okay, whatever is going to come my way, I'm going to just face it. I mean, I've already been facing stuff, so I might as well just keep going, and but then, like, I love the reminder, James, had only given 40%. I have a hard time with that. I think that's the overgiving thing. Um, anyway, I know I'm rambling, but yeah, we got all kind of, and we did have my sister-in-law's sister Nancy passed away very suddenly, but she was like a breast cancer survivor for like 10 years, and she actually died of complications from still taking chemo anyway. So just a crazy platter of interesting things to observe and then feel, and how much do I give here? How much do I? It's been, but I'm doing good. I feel so grateful. I have a lot of gratefulness, and I'm regulating me. It's like I feel like I'm regulating me for the first time. Is that even? I mean, I know we regulate each other, but I'm taking more responsibility, maybe. Anyway, I love you guys, and it's just really great to be here. And I stayed on last night thinking, okay, I'm not going to interject because you guys have a good flow. And I thought I'm just going to, and I'm like, well, it'll be weird to go off. And I thought I'm just going to hold space. So I enjoyed the conversation, held space, and laughed. And you guys, I thought you were all just great. It was fun to be there. So I love you guys.
Well, I love you, Nancy. It was a fun ride last night.
It
Uh,
was. To
yeah,
add, real quick to add on to that, what you were saying, Nancy, about the absurdity of kind of being in the same energetic space for a long, long time. That's principally what me and my brother, with our elder brother, got to. Is because it's the same. Whenever he would want to, the habit of drinking in the holidays and hanging out, we would have the same conversation, and we're talking about 20 years having the same conversation. And so just as you're saying, it's like, so as we're talking about where do you help and not, and he always tries to find that hook to appeal to, I need your attention, your help, bro. But we really had to find that with him, be like, you have to take the first step yourself before I can even give it any sort of real attention.
yeah, I really related to your share, and even though it was a little cryptic, Nancy, I was trying to follow with the family stuff, and I was like, yeah, I get it. There's like, there's all of these dynamics, and just being able to maintain your nervous system, and then even with the calories, to be able to observe yourself in it. I mean, that's a huge celebration. I was like, not to be in reaction and like, and then just even like that simple thing, 40%, and it's just so helpful. Or what my mantra is, nothing is broken. And so I'm always like, well, even when, I'll go into it after I call on Lauren if there's time, because I found it so fascinating to watch myself do old behaviors and like be kind of nicer to myself when I was doing it. So go ahead, Lauren, I'm going to call on you. It's good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you too. I missed you guys. I missed all your energy. Um, it's been a low calorie holiday for me too. And the most I did was I saw my sister the day before Christmas. I only really have a sister and an aunt, a daughter that I really don't see, and some nieces and nephews. But they're the people I like. So I'm really fortunate that people who have stuck around are the good ones, if you can say that. But that hollow feeling you were talking about, that abandonment feeling, James, like that hit me a little bit because I did spend the holiday by myself, which is fine, I was with my own witness, and but that forces you to think if you can't quiet your mind. So I'm not, I'm not a pro at that yet. I'm working on it. I think sometimes I judge my self-worth by who I can care for because I really miss it. I've been really good at it, but I didn't have good boundaries. Like that's a theme. I'm working on boundaries. But all in all, I just felt really grateful to have everything I need, to have food, have a warm place. I got cats that love me, that live outside. But also some interesting things I got to do is I got to participate in a Yule rite, like an actual pagan Yule rite, and I thought it was so beautiful. I got a prosperity pine cone to take home and this white candle. And then someone there invited me to go watch a Liber 15 Gnostic Mass. Oh my goodness. That was interesting. They're very nice people, but it's a little bit more than I think. Like if you're not looking at the symbology of what's being performed in front of you, you just be like, well, there's a naked lady sitting there on this altar. But you're not supposed to like look at it like that. And then I got to hang out with two ceremonial magicians. So it's kind of been an esoteric Christmas for me. Just come home and study and be grateful that I have what I have. But again, I'm human and I get these pings of pain now and then. Sometimes it feels like I'm alone in a white room. Sometimes it's like everything's fine. You're great. But I'm lying to myself about that sometimes. But
Well, I can relate to that very much so in terms of the fact that just the hollowness we're talking about, right? Because for me, it's been several sort of experiences, but like when I went through the my kids file in the election and that sort of pivotal moment where I was regular seeing my kids to very quickly, like my daughter, it was instantaneous. I wasn't seeing her, but then it was my son very quickly sort of falls asleep. So when you talk about that hollowness, is sort of like feeling alone. And so even going through what recently with my dad, right? It's like just amongst all the family, I do feel very alone. And just to echo what you're saying, sometimes, God dang it, yes, it would be nice to have some support in the room, but yeah, it's like, it is hard earned, sort of in that alone time, isn't it? Really sitting with yourself.
And even though I was given the advice, you've got to tend to your own fire first and your own light, because I'm
Yeah,
constantly, like I said, I'm trying to find self-worth sometimes through
Yeah.
what can I do for somebody else outside of me? So there's a whole lesson in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that feeling is, although it's very disenchanting,
Yeah.
uh, it, it really could just be growth. It really could just be plasmic growth. And I've noticed over the years that I've had that feeling while I was with my mom more than I've had it without people. So it's like I knew a long time ago that feeling wasn't because I was lonely. It was because I've thought it was because something was wrong with me, that there was just something wrong with my physiology, my emotional things. And, of course, I was actually laughing about this the other day at how fucking absurd it was that I was told as a child, you're too sensitive. And then they would turn around and do things that any average person would know. Hey, if you have someone in your family that's sensitive, don't fucking say this. It's just
Poke at the
some of the most
bruise.
elementary math, of just like, and only now when I'm out of that context can I can I have feelings like this constructively? Can I be in the presence of feelings like this constructively? And I'm able to analyze really what the feeling is, just as I was able to say to myself a few weeks ago, holy shit, dude, this is gonna be over. It'll be okay. Just wait till the 26th. It'll be different. It will. And knowing that is all the calories I needed to get me over the edge, to get me to that other place. Even now driving home, I feel this evacuation, but when I analyze it, it's more about I wish we lived in a world where my dad would want to live with me, because I fantasize about that, man. If we lived together, I could fucking take care of you. You could let me write books. I wouldn't have to fucking listen to Candace Owens. I wouldn't have to compete with anyone on this, this idea of, well, I gotta earn that nut, gotta get none of that would happen. I could just focus on my work, focus on what we do. You know what I mean? Just like really just dig into my fucking work and stop just going out and solving this food, clothing, shelter. And being able to help him, he helping me. This is a symbiotic relationship.
It sounds like it. It
You
sounds like
know,
you guys
yeah.
provide
And
equal
I'm
care.
evacuated because I know that's not going to happen. I'm evacuated because I know that this isn't what my dad wants. And that
Yeah.
but it reminds me of when I was young and I was noticing that, hey guys, I'm going to war. Hello. I'm and or when I got home from war, who are you? I came home to my house. I was gone for 4 months, and my parents sold their house, didn't consider that I was coming home from war and that maybe they should tell me that they're now in Louisiana. And like, so like I showed up at my house and like, not only were they not there to greet me, but like they had sold the house. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but this is kind of funny. I went to the door. I tried to open it. It wouldn't open. I'm like, that's weird. They never locked the house during the day. Thank God. I knock on the door. My English teacher opens the door.
Whoa.
And I think, huh, what is Miss Fowler doing visiting my mom? And I'm like trying to get in. And she's looking at me like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What do you do? What are you doing? That's how I learn. And I still think it's my mom's house. I still think that there's just they redecorated. I'm starting to think they redecorated. She's got Playboys on the den table. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But I'm just like, this is what the fuck's going on? And then she's looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And these kinds of things are these opportunities to have really deep liberations, really deep realizations of what the fuck has been going on, of like what exactly, who actually loves you and who actually has just been like, can you just get the fuck out of my life? And I'm not going to tell you I want that. You're going to have to fucking guess. And if you guess right, I'm not going to fucking confirm it. Fuck you. I'm not going to tell you that that's right. I'm not going to honor your desire to want to give me what I want. You fucking kidding me? No, no, no. And this is the cannibalism.
Yeah.
This is that idea of no, no, you have to fucking be my food. And this is how I'm going to eat you. You know, I've been thinking a lot about this in relation to slavery. And I know I've said this before, but it's like, it is such a luxury. And people know that they can find it if we make this world worse, if we can make it less trustful, less digestive, less all that shit. Make it more heightened, more fear, more ice, more show me your fucking papers, more let's fucking invade things because we will feel better as reptiles if we can get these mammals to stop being so fucking warm-blooded, you know, we can save a lot of calories. And when you start to look at it that way, guess what? I'm literally compassionating. I'm literally saying this isn't about me. This is about the prana economy. This is about where you want to exist as a vertebrate. Do you want to be cold-blooded or do you want to be warm-blooded? Because I get it. It's expensive as fuck to sit there and just constantly warm your fucking blood 24/7. I get it. I fucking get it. But I don't know how else to live. You fuckers don't know how else to live. There's no going back. There's no fucking way.
Hmm.
We're ahead of that game.
I think that sometimes what I struggle with, and I'm sure we all do, right, is not being angry at the people we love that still want to be cold blooded or just relate to that like we're saying that and we can't be mad at them for, and like you said, still wanting to be in that mold, right?
Yeah.
But
You know,
it is.
I was thinking about the king of the animal kingdom. It's the deer. and and I learned about the deer and the crystals being the king of the minerals and then tobacco being the king of the plant kingdom. And the deers are all displaced now. And they don't know how to connect with each other because their habitats and their pathways have all been disrupted. And they're very empathetic with each other. They like to live in this symbiosis. And so you see a lot of them, dead on the side of the road. And it's just like, I feel like we're like these deer that don't know that forgot how to live together. And so they're having a hard time. And the fern is like thriving right now. And that is kind of another kind of interesting plant that has this spiral, and they kind of spawn instead of have flowers. And I was thinking about, why are ferns doing so good and deer's not doing so good? Because deers are evolving and we're evolving as a species right now. And it's painful. It's a freaking painful. I'm like they're right there with you, Lauren, like pain of the not belonging. And I'm thinking, well, I'm trying to like source, like, well, why don't you, like, what, you're just like, if you're like a black sheep, you kind of like you were given that status for like, it's actually an honor to be a black sheep, to give that, I don't know, it's part of the evolution, I think. And then it's like, we're in this environment where you're kicked out of the nest before it's time to get kicked out of the nest. And I'm thinking about your story, James, and I'm like, I'm going to tell a story. I kind of was homeless when I was like 16, 17, 18, kind of sort of. My parents wanted to have an adventure. They were was moving us around or something. And so they decided they wanted to go to Iran. And so they sold their house before it was time. And then we were living in a motel, right? And I didn't have a choice whether either I was going to, like, I mean, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, what are you going to do? Your parents have left you. It's like, you just like, then you're like, well, I thought that was kind of normal that parents do that kind of thing. So then I thought, well, I don't really think I think that's kind of, it's got some kind of pathology to it. So I ended up getting married secretly and moving to Germany, thinking that was a solution to my prefrontal cortex was barely online. I was only like, I was just barely 18 when I did that. And I thought, well, that was the solution to the problem, that, these people were moving to, a country that they had to learn Farsi. I mean, they were taking Farsi. And I was like, I'm graduated high school. I'm in this pivotal place. What do you do? Like, if you don't go to college, now it kind of wasn't college bound material. I ended up doing this weird, bizarre thing. And I'm really grateful I did it, but I'm thinking it's kind of interesting. And you come home to your house and there is no house. I didn't have a house. I didn't have a house to stay in. I didn't have a house to, like, well, let's see, like maybe I'll do something, but I don't even have a choice. They pulled up roots. That was it. There was no root. That was it. So I'm looking at, what does that make, like then I have this real ultra need to want to belong to something. So then that creates this hollow feeling like you don't belong. Then I go to my friend party, which, you go to your friend party and you think you belong there. And you're like, well, wait a second. I just created that whole family dynamic in my friends. It's like all right there playing out. Like I used to be called Chief. Well, this kind of chief doesn't really fit into that chief kind of puzzle thing, how it's supposed to look. So now I'm negated to weirdo. You're over here now, and there's another person that's a chief. Now this person wants to come back into the friend thing and come back into this thing that kind of like I started. That's like this real authentic witnessing thing. And I'm like, I don't want them to come in. I'm like, well, what a bitch you are. Like you you're doing the very same thing that your folks did to you, and then it's just like a perpetual thing. It's like it's just this thing that keeps on carrying down. And I'm like, I don't want to be that. I want to be the person that doesn't remember and says, everyone's learning, and sometimes it takes a while to learn that, you put all your calories over here and you really didn't belong over there. And so everyone's looking for a place to belong.
Yeah. If you think about what a pear does on the vine, it turns the one little thing that connects it to the tree that goes black, and it gets softer and it dehydrates, and it finally is so grotesque and feeble that it snaps and it falls. And so in a way, the pear is spoiling its relationship to the tree, and the tree is spoiling its relationship to the pear. And both of them are co-creating the severance of that. And if you look at the era that we've emerged from, Lori, it would be, although I equate it to the Italian family fetish that I never got, because growing up, I just had this huge dream of just like, hey, fucking let's eat meatballs and have a giant family and go fucking yell at each other and fabagoo. And, and I was so in love with that. My best friend's mom, uh, I think I liked her more than him because she was that. And she ran a restaurant, and the restaurant was the family. And I was just like, I am fucking home, man. Like, this is just, let me be a line cook here. I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is all I've ever wanted. And it's not appropriate right now. The era of consciousness, the pairs that we are, it is not appropriate. That would really screw us up. And so even that evacuated feeling we have is a constructive form of autonomy, a form of severance that we imbue to find this place. And the fact that we feel sad about it is kind of cool. It's kind of showing a kind of reverence for something we wish we had, which ultimately is a kind of a sign of having a lot of extra calories and being pretty evolved. Because I think before that, I was arguing with AI about this today. AI gets so mad when I try and tell it slavery is a co-created experience, a lot of times. And it's just like, stop saying that. And I was harping on that same thing again, that there's no other way that these relationships would manifest. There's no other way. You're going to have an oppressor to facilitate you wanting to be free, and you're going to have a feebleness that's going to persuade you to want to be enslaved. And that this is a romantic relationship that we enter into with each other, with our family, with society. I still want it to change. I I I wish my dad would reconsider. I think it'd be cool because I sort of, that could be my sort of my home base, but not necessarily even my home. It'd be a place that I could be there when I'm needed, but it's I keep all my shit there, and we, we take care of, whatever's needed and stuff. But it's not in the cards the same way it wasn't in the cards with my mom, the same way it wasn't in the cards with my wife, with even the last company I worked for, Lori, probably you with HP too. When I worked in freelance, with all those commas working for California. That was a very luxurious kind of life, and it was exactly wrong. It was, it was the last thing that I needed, despite how good it felt, despite how self-worth I felt really worthy having people contact me from around the world say, we need an expert to do it. I'm just like, yeah, of course you do. What, it's these are the things that we want to achieve, but only if we're lucky do we lose them right after we acquire them.
True,
So, so we
true.
can find the next carrot and move on to the next thing. So
Yeah, you know that it's like this moving on to the next thing. It's like that's the gift of the pear dropping you. It's the fruit because I thought about that, the slavery of the golden handcuffs to manage yourself. Like when you make a lot of commas, you get really like a lot of, you can just, you just put yourself into this thing and you just spend everything that you make. And then you need to make all that in order to, it's like this thing. So I always said, I kind of like looked at those and I said, these are like, this is an enslavement to a program. And I loved the job. I was good at it. It gave me this self-worth. I mean, I went to China 3 times. I had 300 Chinese doctors looking at me for my expertise. You want to say for a low self-esteem person, that was like freaking, crack cocaine. But it was like this place that I remember walking into that thing and putting my little badge up there. And HP was really great. It had great art. It had a great building. It had a gorgeous, campus. I mean, it had a softball teams and soccer. It was just they was used to have cocktail parties on Fridays. It was one of the best corporations and companies. And but I would walk in there every day, and I'm like, I'm looking at the same art. I'm walking up the same stairs. I'm sitting in the same cubicle, and I'm like, I don't. It was just rinse, wash, repeat. Even though I was always doing something different, and I was like, I've got to break this. I've got to break this. And it takes a lot of strength to take yourself off the tree.
I think it takes more than strength. I think it almost takes a nature stepping in and saying, look, I need to fuck this up because you're not. I swear to you, Lori, if you were to come to me when I had all those commas and you would have
Yeah,
said, hey, do you want to trade this to be like poor as fuck but write books? I'd be like, what are you fucking high? Of course not. No, I want to get laid. I want to have a family. I mean, that's what the commas do. And isn't it interesting that this is the same concept of 40%? That what a corporation's paying you 90%, it's a slavery parasitic relationship, isn't it?
yeah,
That
it
the
is.
fact that they're paying you that much more is in fact a kind of manipulative state where they're going to guilt the fuck out of you if you try and leave. So in a way, if you think about it, poverty is a luxury that most of us wish that we could afford to live inside of.
Yeah,
So when my dad's giving me, hey, James, since you're struggling, why don't you go get this job? And he gives me here's Mark Cuban's advice, which I couldn't believe he suggested that, but I'm looking up the jobs with him, and I'm like, well, let's check this job out. And it's, Dad, this job's $14 an hour, and I'm just waiting for my dad to react to that, and he has no idea what that even means. And I told him, I don't think you understand what a luxury that would be if I could work for $14 an hour. Because ultimately, all the things that I've done in my life have created a hunger in me that requires more than $14 an hour. And I explained why. It's actually not about the money, Dad. If I wanted to work for 14 hours an hour, I would have to have a roommate. I would have to. There would be no way that I could exist without that. I don't mean like a family. I'm talking about like a roommate. Like, what's your name? Hey, man, come like you need that. You need a couple of them. And when you're living in a situation like that, there is no self. There is no autonomy. You are literally just surviving the house. You're looking for moments where people might converge and magically not be there. But even then, you're like, oh, I have 45 minutes. Let me work on a book. And you're just so fucking tired of just waiting for this magic moment that you're going to blow it because here it is. And you're not fully engaged and fully in create. Like I remember this kind of fucking torture, this kind of mind fuckery that I used to go through in Asheville. Because I'm surrounded by people that are insisting we're all artists, but I'm the only one who's like fucking jonesing because I don't have the ability to create art because I'm surrounded by all this noise, all this tepidness, all this insistence that we must fill the spaces. Blah, blah, blah. Wait, sorry, somebody was being quiet. Sorry. Blah. And you're just like, this is not life. This is not consciousness. This is not self. This is not art. It's a luxury. It's a luxury you have to be that poor, to be able to say, I fucking hate my job. It's a luxury to be able to afford to not be able to find meaning in that place and to force yourself in to say, I got to fucking write this book. I got to fucking do this cartoon strip, you know, stuff like that. It's so completely different. I was trying to explain to my dad how many hours I put into this cartoon. And I can just see he's just like, why? And I'm like, I know, Dad. Why? Like I totally get what he means. I wonder that too. It's a luxury. And during the holidays, I'm like, this is harder to want. This is, it's you can tell, these things now. And it's so backwards. This world is so fucking backwards. What it means to be a rich person, what it means to be imbued with that parasitic notion of being a master and having every single person that knows you're a master actually be a slave, and you never know if you have a cohesive symbiotic relationship with fucking anybody because you have too many commas after your paycheck. So even that doesn't get you any better. Where you win is if you can afford to fucking live in poverty. I swear. That's where you fucking win because you're forced to check out because you forced the tree because you blackened the fucking stem of your own pear, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's a parasitic evolution.
Paris.
You need a bigger host or a better host. The trash that we eat at one level just doesn't work anymore. You need a hotter compost pile. You need more from the thing, and so we evolve into a larger parasite that needs more from the thing that we're dealing with. And some people don't evolve out of it. They're it's the human centipede. It's all that's happening. And then if you wake up a
Same
little
way,
bit,
yeah. I wouldn't have evolved out of my commas. I wouldn't have evolved out of San Francisco calling me up, going, "Dude, we need you in Spain. Come to Spain and fucking impress Delta Airlines." And I'm like, okay. I needed some kind of failure. I needed some sense of I don't belong here. I needed the privilege of feeling evacuated when I'm sitting around a table with a bunch of corporate types. And when I look at them, I really feel that they're fully engaged and just fully enjoying life. And I'm noticing, why is this not enough for me? Why is it that when I get back to my hotel room in Las Vegas, I feel this sense of this isn't my purpose? This isn't why I'm here. I'm in Vegas. I should fucking be enjoying this.
that's where my mom and dad met. We got some crazy time. I gotta spend time talking to you guys about that. Talking about coming home to no house. I was 16 working full time. Come home at 10 o'clock at night. My mom and my stepdad and my brother are watching like Cops in the living room, and I go in the bedroom, change my clothes, and my mom comes in the bedroom and tells me like I'm ungrateful and I just want to be better than I think I'm better than where I live. Because she told me when I was 13 I had two paper routes to get like the stuff I wanted to skateboard. I bought these fuzzy pants and stuff. I just always wanted to be a free radical in life, and I never liked money, but I liked the freedom that it provided early on. And then she comes in my bedroom and tells me that I hate my family. We were born on the wrong side of the tracks. She met my dad as a hooker in Las Vegas, and kicked me out of the house. And so I went and slept in the gym. I went to the gym. There's a 24-hour racquetball club, and I went in there and shot baskets all night, and then went to school in the morning. I was just like, "This is a fucking weird world we live in," you know? How how you expect? So I learned like that's my mom. Shortly after that, like cheated on my stepdad with the 19-year-old, and I was in Flagstaff, and she's like, "If you guys want anything out of the house, you should come get it because I'm selling the house and moving to Mexico. So get what you need, but I didn't have any place to put any of that stuff, and that was a house that my dad gave her to be a mom. So this world is funny. Like, and you said there's the story your aunt stole the bag of ganja off the table when you were all hanging out, James. And that's just like my mom was the victim because these girls stole my purse, but she was drunk as shit and probably left it on the counter, and you cause all this. Oh, I don't know. I love you guys. This is crazy stuff when you get into the family and the holiday time. It just kind of got to come out, I guess.
And where we all are, it's kind of like miraculous. And I think about like these experiences that we've all got to have, and it's like, and then you come out and you're like, we're the sane ones. We're the ones that are like sane. And I'm thinking about like that level of like choosing to leave, like, and not taking that and like making that, you could have make that your whole like identity of like, well, yeah, my parents just like abandoned me. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but then you make apple sauces or
Yeah, I just raised myself. It worked out. I just thought, I didn't have the religious background, and I saw people hating each other for having a different God, or just eating different food. Like people telling me that, like, oh yeah, black people smell, and I was like, well, you just don't eat food with any seasoning on it. Like, what are you talking about? 13-year-old boys smell when they're running around, and they don't know that they're turning into different types of humans, but like no type of human smells. Like, I don't know. There's some ignorant humans. We're lucky to be so aware and to evolve enough to where when we're getting heated about it, realize that I think it's that compassion or that empathy. You're really just mirroring the ignorance in the other person. If you can step above it and know that it's just a cloud passing, and they're really just kind of latching on to our ability to be the other side of the parasitic relationship. We're all addicted to some sort of ebb and flow, and we all have it within ourselves. Like, it's cool that the those who menstruate, we can't just say women anymore. I don't know how everyone identifies, but like the people who do that have a built-in moon calendar. In Ethiopia, isn't it 2017? Because they still rock the moon calendar. They identify as 2017. I think that's beautiful. They have the oldest handwritten Bible. They're like one of the last appropriated places, but they do the moon calendar. They have 13 months, 28 days, and then a day of rest, a reset. Like, let's do the fire day.
Yeah.
All right, I love you guys.
That's so sacred. Thank you, Clinton. I just like where we're spawned from makes us so special. And it just seems like the more that you get a kind of strange, like not a, well, they call them helicopter parents now, where they're just like watching making sure they're doing everything. I have like kind of that experience where there's like a lot of privilege, and it's not a bad thing to be totally STEM focused, and you get to have high level math skills, and you get to have like all of this robotics and all these things, which are great. Lots of computers and robotics and no art, no really, no boredom. You can't really get bored. But I wonder how that level of like, is that something going to spawn from that? Because, like there was this like something spawned from neglect in us. I'm like, there's a real neglect and that from the neglect comes like beauty and like
Yeah.
and like exotic flowers or something.
I
Go
was
ahead,
thinking
James.
about this all day today because I was arguing about the placenta. I've been for this book. I'm trying to argue over, was naval worship pre pre Priapus worship, or was Priapus worship pre naval worship? If this makes sense, like, so which is which? And it really got me thinking that as soon as we're born, we're taught to seek out a ghost organ that used to be connected to, like, as soon as we're born, the second we're born, we lose this ghost organ, which triggers this seeking for something that's not there.
Mm.
It's why I wrote about what I said about shamans, about how they're watered in lies. Because the only way that triggers that ability for that kind of thing to spruce would be that the second you're born, you've instantly lost the only entity truly that you've truly been able to relate to, this cord that is feeding your belly. And that is your connection, your telephone line to Gaia, literally, like intuitively on all these different levels. And you lose that the second you're born. We think about why babies cry, and I'm just picturing this is why we're crying. We're crying because we don't have the words or the language to even convey to the strangers we've just met what we've just lost and what they're doing by pulling us out and how they're killing something that we have to go back and save. And we spend the rest of our lives seeking things that we never knew, thinking about energies or extensions to us that are no longer there. And this just fascinates the shit out of me. Like it's like a sacred blessing where you would have to be born with an evacuated feeling to even quest for wholeness.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that this is why I mean it is a luxury. The fact that in high school I had this evacuated feeling and I knew it after it took me a while, but I knew this isn't hunger. My God, it's close to my stomach. I was convinced when I was young, it's got to be hunger, man. It's got to be that. It's so close. That the feeling's right there, man. It's just a little bit to the left. And it wasn't. And you keep seeking these things, you keep looking for these invisible things precisely because the gift of the abandonment was installed in you. And that's what triggers all of this, all of these things where it's okay to blacken the pear, to enter into these kind of relationships where we feel abandonment and evacuation because these would be the very instruments we need to sever the cord and move on to the next state, so to speak. So it's really
That why
profound.
we have to forget? That's why we have to forget when we re-enter, like, or you wouldn't have that abandonment. We would
Yeah.
realize that we were still one with everything.
Yeah.
Dad would be on that quest, and the same thing when we're talking about the need for an oppressive force to make you want freedom. This same concept.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, Lauren, what you got?
I'm just now realizing that we have this commonality of neglect here. Makes me realize a lot of times I forget my parents got a divorce when I was 3 and immediately started fighting over me. One went down to Mississippi, one stayed in Ohio, and boy, did they have a war. So, like, when I was 11, I got taken away from both of them and put with an aunt who took me because I would have gone into foster care. And they were so clear about me being a burden. I was like, Jesus. So, eventually I went and I lived with my mom in Mississippi, and that was like having absolutely no one around at all. And when she would speak, she was just melancholy. Everything was terrible, just awful. So she was real easy to just dislike if you were me. But all of this gave us so much potential fuel to be used for when it matters most during the construction of who we really want to be. And it takes a lot to get to the point where you can be grateful for it. Because I remember growing up being like, what is going on? Why am I being dragged into court? Why does like no one's taking care of me? I had to raise myself too. I think I did a pretty good job. And I think I'm amongst some really amazing people here, all of you. So anyway.
Thank, thank you, Lauren. I honor you. And it's like when I think that it's a gift if we can all like look at each other. We've shared like intimately about things, and if you came up on me, on the street and you didn't know who I was, you wouldn't have known that backstory, right? Or Lauren's backstory, or Clinton, or James. And it's like, how do we compassionate the world? Because the world, I mean, this is just this lifetime. Can you imagine all of our lifetimes of like what we have gone through as our epigenetics, and how many placentas we've been missing, and how many places we've longed to belong and we've lost our way? It's just really a powerful remembering of being, like more conscious of that kindness. Clinton coming from that background and choosing to choose love, choosing to say, it is about what the spices you eat. If you eat a lot of garlic, it's coming out your pores of your pits, and it's like the healthiest thing is like to eat a lot of garlic, and then you smell. I'm like, so it's like, and then it's like, what's wrong with smell? I had
That's
somebody,
culture. It's
yeah,
culture that you're smelling,
I had somebody touch my, I was thinking about eau de toilette. You're in your lower three chakras and you're smelling, everything is like shit. And then you go into this cologne, which is cheap shit. And that's like, this. And then you get into this perfume. Well, anyhow, this person always comes in with this, like all this stuff on them. And I'm like, I really want to hug you, but I cannot stand to smell like you for 2 days. And so instead of hugging him, he came up and he put his whatever on my head. And all night long, I'm smelling him on my head. And I'm like, oh, this is bad. I mean, it's like really bad. I mean, it's like, I don't mind a natural smell, but the unnatural ones are like, the ones that they're really trying to, what is that? I don't understand. He's like, it's expensive, whatever you would call perfume for men. I'm like, I understand, but it's just like, I don't want to be with you that much. Whatever this is not for me. So it's annoying.
Hey guys, I know it's kind of funny. We're talking a little bit about BO and things like this. Anyone else, but it's kind of funny for me when at first, excuse me, I kind of noticed it. It was this kind of thing, I guess you will, when you're hit puberty and it's like, oh, this is new in kind of way. And as any sort of smell goes, and we kind of get used to our own smells, right? But is this just me or anybody else sometimes kind of appreciate their own musk? You've been working hard a little bit and you're like, yeah, I know that, but it's, oh, man.
That's me, man.
No,
I ain't
actually,
saying
Brett,
I'd take that one a day.
yeah, I think there's a lot more psychology to this than we think. I think the same thing is true about how you feel when you listen to your own voice. That you may think that, well, objectively, my voice sucks, or objectively, my voice is great. But actually, what's happening is that it's a kind of mirror where you're able to surmise how you truly feel about yourself, and the way that you respond to your own musk, I think, is definitely a part of that for sure. And I think the fact that people wear a lot of cologne is telling you something really important. Or if they're wearing a lot of perfume or not even a lot, it doesn't take a lot, but it tells you something really important, about what's going on there. So,
Yeah, I always feel like I'm really taking good care of myself when I explain it's not that I don't want to hug you, but I can't smell like you. I don't always wash my clothes. I mean, my clothes aren't always dirty. So I don't like wash all my clothes all the time. And I'm like, God, I have to smell like this for 3 days. Do you understand that that's like a lot? I mean, I like you, but I don't want to smell like you. So yeah. Anyhow, it's good conversation. We have a couple of minutes before we're finished with our time. Does anyone have anything they want to add? Hasn't spoke? Good to see you over there knitting. I love that.
On that BO thing, the pheromones of the body, they've done the test, and they say the more closely related you are, the more repulsive the smell would be. It's supposedly a genetic safeguard for inbreeding and whatnot. And so they did the test with the men on like treadmills, and then they had the female smell the t-shirts that they wore, and the more closely related they were, the more disgusting the smell was. And so, but I agree. I think that the smells are probably masking insecurities. And if, not that someone has to reek to be proud of themselves, but I think your own smell is who you are.
Well,
yeah,
think
That's
about
how we know each other.
I would even go so far as to say the smells are actually advertising insecurities, because the prawn economy is where we meet on that smell. And it's like, oh my God, I smell, who's codependent? Want to use oh my God, you and me got some business to do. You know what I mean? And I think it more has to do with that. That's why that attraction is so uh uh parapsychetic, because it really does get down to this prawn economy that you're not even consciously aware of. Like your higher self knows where you need to go, and it's always looking for that smell to get you to that place.
Yeah, because you talk about that when, like, as we evolved, we just cauterized that because we wouldn't want to smell the psychop, or what, you wouldn't want to know your neighbor was going to kill your kids or whatever. So it's just better, and it just makes sense. But so then, would you say that that would be like a stealth? You could put the cologne on to save yourself from a predator that was maybe more aware of the scent.
Yes, and you could take it even further to even show that people that wear cologne are hiding. And that hiding is a kind of prana economy. So even the application of something covering your smell is in fact giving away maybe even more about what you're looking for or what you're hoping to have, you know. The same way superficiality would work now, you know, keep in mind that we're showing our teeth to each other, which in nature would be the antithesis of happiness. Like literally, that you could not get further
Right.
away from show me you're happy than I will show you all of my teeth as richly and thickly as I can. And I think this is showing you the true nature of what the social relationship really is. It's a predatorial, voluntary, consensual, predatorial interaction of cannibalism. And we're showing each other our teeth because we're looking for something to eat.
Yeah,
I'll say
I love
on
that.
terms of break.
We're running a little over, so I
Okay.
just like
That
say,
was good.
you know, everyone show their teeth like that African tribe, you know, when they go, you know. So it was a great dojo tonight, you guys. I really appreciate seeing everybody and Happy New Year. See you in the new year.
Yeah.
Guys,
Love you guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
2026.
thank
Bye,
you. Love you
everybody.
guys.
See you next time.
Next time.